Going over to the Cultural Part podcast, you have United Healthcare CEO killed in the streets of New York. Remember, New York has a brand, which is a infamous quote by Mayor Eric Adams. Now, warning, this is, well, a little bit graphic. For a couple days, I debated how much I wanted to show about a specific topic because it's so morbid. And I know this is kind of late news. It happened last week, for Christ's sake. But, I mean, there's no sound. I'll still show the video, but big disclaimer, if you have kids watching, definitely not an appropriate episode. It's not too graphic. You don't see a lot of blood, but it's still someone passing away on screen. So I'll probably just show it for a second or two. And even more concerning, it seems like a majority of the comments online are people that are praising this perpetrator. Now, there's a lot of theories of wondering, is this a hitman or assassin, or is it a rogue? A lot of people are saying it's a rogue individual, maybe someone who was denied coverage, or a family member was denied coverage, which in the United States, we have the worst of both worlds. In my opinion, you have way too much government interference with insurance, especially health insurance these days. And you also have the health insurance companies, the private sector, battling with the government. I just think it's way too bloated. If you were to deregulate it dramatically, I think the cost of goods sold or the cost of goods, it would go down a lot. Very similar to how in the United States, LASIK eye surgery is a luxury. I say that because legally speaking, most policies do not cover it. So that's a good example of a healthcare related service that's more privatized, where you only get it if you pay cash or credit card. And in that case, the cost of goods sold could just gone down dramatically because all the individuals, all these different LASIK eye companies, they had to compete to earn your business. Not so much when you have a doctor or your health insurance plan where it says, oh yeah, you can only go to these two doctors that are in your, what is that rudimentary term they always like to use in healthcare coverage? It's in your network, so to say. But I partially digress. Going to the article again, graphic warning. This comes to us thanks to somebody named of Nuffsaid on X. And you can see the CEO on the left, and it says, quote, graphic warning, thieving. Again, it's the whole foot. This individual obviously not a fan of insurance companies, which I understand. A lot of people have had a lot of friction with them. A lot of people denied. A lot of people think it's unfair. I know a couple folks who, their kids are alive because they had exceptional coverage because their employer could afford it. I know it's one of the most culturally controversial and even politically controversial things in the United States. And the way this individual phrases it, I think, is emblematic of that. He says, quote, a thieving insurance company called United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down in the fifth filthy state of New York. So they got part of it right, because I think New York, which is also ironic. Well, I'm not trying to be funny or bombastic right now. I don't think it's I don't think it's coincidence that some of the areas in the United States that have the highest crime rates are gun-free zones and places that you are not allowed to defend yourself. New York is one of 8 states in the United States where you can't own a suppressor. Interestingly enough, this bad guy had one. And a lot of people are suspecting, given the nature of buying a suppressor in the United States, he probably got it. A lot of people theorizing, again, no evidence of this yet, that he was flown in illegally with an illegal firearm, or rather a firearm that was purchased in the United States. Because if you want to buy a suppressor in the United States, if you live in those 42 awesome states, you have to pay a $200 tax stamp thanks to the U.S. Treasury Department, thanks to the NFA Act of 1934. You also have to, of course, go through ridiculous additional background checks. You have to go through a photo ID being taken, or rather a passport photo being taken. You have to be fingerprinted. And it takes, for a trust, about 6 to 9 months to get that suppressor back. Individual, now it's a little bit shorter, but it's still such a burdensome amount of paperwork. Most people don't do it. Now, again, for this quick little video here, I'll make sure it's muted here. So you can see this individual. I won't actually show him being shot, but here you see someone, a guy in a hoodie, a backpack. Obviously, he's not suited up. And ridiculously enough, the CEO is, well, he's wearing a suit like all good men should, but he's alone. This is one of the largest, most, I would say, somewhat people respect and disrespect, but it's one of the largest, most, a lot of people important for the jobs, for coverage. It's a very large, if not the largest health insurance company in the United States. And again, a lot of people really have a disdain for the health insurance industry. A lot of people don't like them. That being said, I'm just astonished he doesn't have his own private security detail. If I was at his level, I'd also have a bulletproof suit. Because, yeah, partially for novelty, but yeah, you can buy them for about a couple $1,000s. If you're worth millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, and you're in an industry and you're leading a company that some people might have a favor towards, it's so unfathomable that he didn't have a security detail. Like, even when I used to work in corporate America, I used to work at Hewlett Packard Enterprise, and our CEO was pretty controversial in the fact that she did massive layoffs, which, again, many people would argue was needed to make the company more attractive, well, easier to split the company to two separate legal entities, as well as keep the company afloat as expenses has got out of control. And it was not competitive with any other IT company at the time. And even she had a couple bodyguards, I believe, and I met him when she came, and they were quite polite. I met him at a speaking event. And I mean, this is a situation where healthcare insurance industry is much more, there's a lot more salty individuals when it comes to it. So the conspiracy theories are going through the roof. And yeah, the fact that, yeah, he had no bodyguards, like, how is that possible? And this went pretty well. I got 10.2 million views and 83,000 likes. And culturally speaking, it's kind of concerning the comments because, again, a lot of people praising that this individual had his life prematurely taken from him. And this is also the umpteenth reason not to visit New York, is if you need another one. Now, one of the first comments comes from Get Clipta, says, what kind of CEO that owns a huge company walks in public in the streets of New York without security guard? LMFAO gained 6.3 thousand likes, which, yeah, I mean, even it's almost unfathomable. Someone with his net worth, with his controversial industry, how do you not have at least one bodyguard, if not an entourage? I mean, we see douchebag celebrities with multiple entourages, just a guard from paparazzi and photos being taken of them. I mean, of all the industries, and let me know in the comments, I think culturally, politically, just in the United States, insurance is probably one of the most controversial industries that a lot of people have a lot of disdain for. I would venture to say, on average, more people are having disdain for insurance companies than tobacco companies or alcohol companies because of the controversy of some things being covered, some people's not, some things, some drugs, some procedures not being covered versus being covered. It's very, and again, healthcare, especially if you're in need, it's one of those emotionally situations where, again, one of your family members might be in ailment, and the number one reason why Americans go bankrupt in the United States is health debt cost. So they get hurt, they go to the hospital, they can't afford it, and it makes them go bankrupt, which again is even more an additional factor of why it's such a visually emotionally charged situation. You also have Say Less TV saying that was definitely a hit, getting 18,000 likes, which okay, I'll show the first couple seconds here. And again, graphic warning, don't have kids watch this. But yeah, it does look like a hit. So there's a lot of speculation on what kind of handgun he's using. And yeah, so he takes a shot. Now, there's a lot of speculation of why this is considered a professional assassin. Now, it appears that he's using a semi-automatic firearm, but he's cycling the slide manually, which you would only do, which, again, some pistols do have that feature if you want to have it all be very quiet. Because, again, a loud noise is the cycling of the slide going back and forth. In some cases, that's more louder than the firearm actually discharging in and of itself. Now, that being said, he's in the street in New York. It's pretty relatively abandoned, so maybe you don't want to make so much noise. But let's see here. He's how many times he does it. See more of the cowardice of New York and the culture of New York. Who's this person? So this person just, jeez. Which again, everyone's at all. There's an age-old saying, everyone's a hero in their own mind. I mean, courage is really known and really not truly known until it's tested. So we would all like to say, if you're standing right there, you jump after that guy, you'd save the day. Who knows how many of us would really do it if we were truly testing that situation. But again, it is sad that there was someone there who just ran away, who is not but 5 feet from the perpetrator. Yeah, about 5 feet. Now, a lot of people speculating it looks like the handgun is jamming because he's hitting it awkwardly a couple times, in addition to trying to manipulate the slide. Now, a lot of people are also speculating that the suppressor is not properly attached to the Nielsen device, which, again, not to get into the mechanics of firearms too much, but if you just take a can or a suppressor, some call it, just directly thread it onto the barrel, like if there isn't the Nielsen device, that means there isn't the proper spring in the can to actually move back and forth, you'll get jams. It's a fascinating science and engineering. Google it later, or not, you'll get put on a list probably, but I'm only partially kidding. But a lot of people are speculating that's why he had such issues. And again, people are driving by, doing nothing, a couple people across the street. And a lot of people speculating, I mean, by now, it's been over a week, he's probably flown to Honduras or, some country that doesn't have extradition. And it definitely looks premeditated. This isn't someone who's just standing next to him and just had a freak out, so to say. This is someone who was very calculated in their approach. He also, I think, strategically chose an area where I mean, there's security cameras, so I mean, it wasn't, I guess, thought out the best it could be, perhaps, but there's very little, if anyone, around. There's one or two other people, and they did nothing. And yeah, now you also have, let's see here, Big Desi saying didn't need that warning. This shit isn't all that graphic, bro. Getting 2.2 thousand likes, which yeah, there's. I mean, you don't see. It's not a lot of blood or anything, but it's still morbid to see someone pass away on camera. That's why I debate even. That's why for days I even debated even putting this on my show. But I think because of the business, the cultural, it is one of the largest stories out there. I think you'll see a ripple effect, not only culturally but in industry wide in terms of securities and practices. I decided it's worth covering. You have Angelina or Angelica Reed saying didn't get covered by insurance, getting, oh, geez, that's morbid. 11,000 likes. Now, Chris McKenna says, I unfortunately think this is a sign of things to come. People are completely fed up with the rigged two-tiered system. If the system won't reform itself, people need to take matters into their own. Jeez, I don't recommend this. Take matters into their own hands, which, again, that does nothing for this individual. Nothing, their life isn't changing. Getting 688 likes, or who knows, maybe they got a big payout or they were hired gunmen. But, I mean, yeah, if it's up to me, we do need changes. But, I mean, again, we've talked about this in nauseum, but the best way to affect any change is, this peaceful protest, just writing. In this case, you wouldn't just write to your senators, but in this case, you'd write to the CEO. If you really want to make change, you buy shares of the company. They're a publicly traded entity. If you get enough shares, you can actually vote people off the board of directors. You can actually, you have a say in their policies. And if customers were irate, they would change. If enough employees told their main employer, hey, we don't want this, we don't want them anymore, we want a different provider, that would have a huge multiplier effect, since a lot of people do get their health care coverage from their primary employer in the United States. You also have, let's see here, Kai saying the other CEOs after today, and I forget this, I don't know what movie this is, but someone sitting on a bed getting 963 likes. I'm Tyler says his gun kept jamming, LOL, getting 189 likes. Let's see. Ryan Estabrook says suppressed pistol, that's a legit hit job. Oh my effing god, getting 589 likes. Celine says, why are these things always filmed on a potato, getting 1.3 thousand likes, which it's a standard security film, or I guess these days it's digital, it's not film per se. But yeah, a lot of companies skip out on that. Well, not just because, I mean, the odds are very low you'll never ever need it, but also the high resolution, the video, the astronomically more expensive it is to actually contain all that data. I mean, just going from a 1080p video to 4K is about 4 times the data. I mean, for this show, I've passed, what was it, a couple terabytes of raw data for the video, and that's just a 1 hour daily podcast. Those security cameras are going 24/7. Now, again, depending on your industry and kind of what your compliances are, you might have to, by law, save it for, a day, a month, or some people even save, some places even store that data for years. But yeah, it really is mainly a cost issue, in my opinion, because, again, the more high resolution the video is, I mean, it just costs so much money. Just look up on the Amazon or the Google, like, how much a 20 terabyte external hard drive is. And again, all that data just adds up exponentially. And there are very few businesses willing to pay for, like, 4K resolution video, and you also, statistically speaking, you won't need it that much. Let's see here. Any other contrarian statements? Crazy Tech says this is undoubtedly a hit, no question. Silencer handling of the gun, the calmness, incredibly sad, but obviously a hit, getting 101 likes. El Oso says some of y'all need Jesus, getting 83 likes. Let's see. Cold Words says someone got a claim denied, getting 27 likes. Laney She says, how did New York catch a stray, getting 106 likes. More. Let's see here. So I did a screenshot. King Flyams says this was an assassination, getting 102 likes, and just a screenshot of the situation right before the gunman pulled the trigger, which, I mean, to me, it certainly looks premeditated. I mean, who knows? I wouldn't be surprised. Wonder what what would the motivation be for, like, a large conspiracy theory? Let me know in the comments. A lot of people suspicious that, someone got denied coverage of a family member or loved one, and maybe that's why they hired this individual. Akio Fuji says, quote, because RFK Jr. is going to expose all the corruption in healthcare, getting 27 likes. I mean, that might be the reason. I'm kind of skeptical on that. Well, And yeah, I, just- I mean, I'm just so flabbergasted he didn't have proper security detail. Because a lot smaller companies have much more robust security practices as well as that. You also have a fun poll. XAMES says, quote, there are no random murders, pick a choice. So people are the four options are, why did this individual have his life taken from him? The options are Epstein, ex-employee, upcoming layoffs, healthcare denied. Which, I mean, usually ex-employees aren't that irate. If I were to guess, if this was an individual who hired this individual, or if this, because of the emotional, I think most people know someone who has been detrimentally hurt because they didn't have the proper coverage or something was denied. I'm going to guess the poll is mainly healthcare denied. Let's look at it. 70.8% say healthcare denied. 4.3% said upcoming layoffs. 11% said ex-employee. 13.9% said Epstein. The poll got only 2 likes. So, I mean, the upside of the situation, I always try to think of a silver lining, try to stay positive. I guess the silver lining is there's a lot of people I know that I won't hire thanks to their posts on social media because they are giving accolades saying, this good for this. A lot of people are being bombastically happy that this individual's life was prematurely taken, which, yeah, that's in my opinion, for sure sign you should never hire them. But let me know in the comments. At the end of the day, do you think we'll know? I mean, at the end of the day, was this a professional hit job, which is an individual actor? And do you think, I think they will, but do you think most other insurance companies are going to radically change their security policies? And what does it say when, more than half the comments, and again, this, X is international. I think a lot of folks on there are also U.S. citizens, but what does it say about our society when there's so many people that are happy from this death? Let me know in the comments because, as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by Christmas, so if you can click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.